Alright, so, in this video I want to talk about my bowel adhesion surgery. So, I made another video on my surgeries. It's a little bit longer. I'm going to try to make this video a little shorter for those interested in just the adhesion surgery. So, how I knew I had adhesions, it was about 2 years, just under 2 years. 24 months is 2 years. I want to say 21 months after my initial surgery for bowel resection. I had 15 centimeters removed of my ileocecal valve, which is the area between the large and small intestine. Adhesions form in more than 9 out of 10 people, but the majority of people do not require surgery to fix their adhesions. So I went to the hospital, and it wasn't until 3 days of being there I found out I had adhesions. Maybe it was 2 days. I went to the hospital with intense stomach pains on a Sunday. After I had a normal morning, everything was normal. Like, it wasn't induced by food or change in diet or change in sleep or change in exercise. Everything was perfectly normal, as it has been for the year preceding. Every single Sunday, my routine is the same, just like it is every other day of the week. I was in intense pain, so it would kind of spike and then go down to like a medium pain and spike again. And eventually, after about 4 or 5 hours, I went to the hospital. Initially, I laid on the sectional I'm sitting on now. I was in my office, was in so much pain, couldn't do any work. And then I laid here for about an hour, couldn't do anything, went to my bed, laid down, maybe I'd fall asleep and I'd wake up without any pain. I never fell asleep, and after about laying there for 2 or 3 hours, I decided, you know what, I'm going to first contact my aunt, who is an RN, get her feedback, and then I also contacted my mother, let her know what's going on, because she's always worried about me. And the thing is, I never contact my mother when I'm not feeling well. Like, if I tell her I'm not feeling well, she gets alarmed because I never tell her I'm not feeling well. So she knew it was serious. She wasn't around, so she contacted my sister, who was about 40 minutes away. My sister freaked out because she knew things were not good if I was asking for help to get a ride to the hospital. The other option was I take an ambulance, but I didn't feel it was urgent enough to call an ambulance. I could last another hour or two, but I was just really, nausea was starting to build up. To that point, I haven't thrown up or anything. And I actually didn't end up throwing up until I was in the hospital for a few days. I didn't throw up. I coughed a little bit like I was going to throw up, but nothing came up, thankfully. Made it to the hospital, got in, went to the ER. Within a couple hours, the doctor immediately said, well, immediately in Canada is like a couple hours because our hospitals are really, really slow. But the doctor said no drinking and no food, and then I had the option to stay the night or go home with my grandparents and stay at their place because they live near the hospital. I don't live near a hospital. I live on a beach far from civilization. The nearest hospital to me is 25 minutes, and the hospital I was at was about 45 minutes from my place, and they didn't want me leaving in case something happened to me during the night. They wanted me to be able to get to the hospital quickly. The hospital was short on beds, so I ended up staying in ER for 2 nights, I believe. So Sunday night, Monday night, and then Tuesday night, I went to another room. I was in with some sort of senior care floor. It was everyone was minimum 75 years old, me being 24. It was a rare sight, but I had my own room, so it was pretty nice. The only thing that was really annoying was that the staff, you could hear them talking at night. Once they basically put all the old people to bed, you could hear them making their orders for ordering burgers and stuff, and I was just I wish I could eat right now. I'm so hungry because I haven't ate for 2 or 3 days. Wednesday, the doctor came in and said, by this point, the blockage hasn't cleared, so we're going to need to go in and do surgery. Up until this point, they did x-rays every morning, and then they did, I believe, a CT scan once, and then on, like I said, Wednesday afternoon, they said I'm going into surgery, and by 2 or 3 hours later, they took me in and put me under. They came out with the conclusion that adhesions had formed and they required surgery. So like I said, most people get adhesions, but most people don't require surgery. I was part of the bracket that did require surgery. I believe this was because I had such excessive internal bleeding after my first surgery from resection. We believe that it was all that blood that basically was left inside of me formed these adhesions, suffocated my bowels. The doctor said as soon as he cut the adhesions, There was 2 or 3 of them. He said that the bowel was basically like a gray or had no color. As soon as he cut them, the bowel pinked right up, and even though the surgery was like 2 hours, he said it was pretty straightforward. Recovery time, they said 6 weeks post-surgery, nothing over 10 pounds. Don't lift anything over 10 pounds. It was a liquid diet for the first 3 or 4 days to a soft diet. And then I would say I wasn't even on a soft diet for that long. I didn't mess around. I was like eating a lot, getting ready to put this weight back on because I lost 11 pounds during the surgery, or during my stay at least in the hospital, because you're not allowed to eat and you're not allowed to move around or anything. So you just lose, mainly for me, it was muscle. So I went through what the doctor called a catabolic phase. And so my arms, while they're not big by any means right now, imagine them being like 1.5 inches smaller. And then sitting where I am right now, it's about 2 months, just over 2 months since surgery, and I've regained all my weight, all my muscle through exercise and proper diet. Mainly it's nutrition, like 75% nutrition, 25% exercise. The exercise gave me my strength back, and the diet basically helped my body repair, properly put this weight back on. I think I was dehydrated too, even though I was taking fluids via intravenous. I think that my muscles got so dehydrated they just also shriveled up. But a doctor said that I was going to go through an anabolic phase, which is basically the opposite of a catabolic phase. You go through an anabolic phase after surgery, which makes it extremely easy to put muscle and weight back on. So after the surgery, that was on day 3 or 4. Day 4 I had my surgery, and then it was 5 days after. I think on my 9th day I left. On my 7th or 8th day, I think my 7th day, they gave me a suppository it was like a laxative, because my bowel movements were just not happening at all, like no gas movement, no nothing, which is a bad sign. Basically, you want to hear gas moving around. You want some sort of sign showing that the bowels have started back up and are working properly. But after I took the laxative, things worked well pretty quickly. I would say within an hour or two, and I'd be walking around constantly, get up every hour or so. I was kind of social while I was there because I'm the same age as like a lot of the nurses that were working there. There was a lot of them in their like 20s, early 30s. So it was just like easy for me to get up. They're sitting up there at the desk, and I would just like go and chat with them and then do a couple laps or whatever. Sometimes they would walk with me and we would just chat. It was just like I had that social incentive to get up and go do something. The doctor, he delayed quite a bit. You really need to like encourage your doctor. I'm not sure what it's like in the US where healthcare is like you have to pay for it, but in Canada, like doctors love to keep you for a very long time. So you really have to like push your doctor to be released. Like if you think you're feeling great, you have to encourage your doctor. Like, I think I'm feeling good. Can I go home today? Can I go home today? And keep bothering him. If you just kind of are passive and think that he's going to be aggressive with you and send you home, he's not. He has no problem keeping you there for another night and another night and another night. Before you know it, you're there for, it was like 9 days. I expected to go home on day like 6 or 7. Even on day 6 or 7, the way I was feeling, I'm like, I'm probably going to go home today or maybe tomorrow. And it was not until like several days later that he let me go home. So like I said, my recovery, it was pretty quick. The diet, I just started off slow, and as my body handled the liquids, now go to soft. And if there's no issues, I would just start like adding more food to the diet. I started being more aggressive with foods. I wasn't eating a steak, but I would start eating things like muffins, which are not necessarily soft foods, but they're not really hard foods either. I also eat, shredded chicken, which is like boiled, so it's really soft. It's not necessarily a soft food, but that's part of my normal diet, is a softer meat. And so I would say by like 7 days after surgery, I was nearly on my regular diet. 10 days after surgery, for sure, I was on my regular diet. And around 10 days after surgery, I was back at my own place, living alone. My abdomen was pretty beat up, I would say for the first 10, 15 days, but it started healing quickly. Like every day, it feels like the days are slow because you can't do anything and you don't feel like you're healing, but you start realizing like how you were feeling 2 days ago. You're like, whoa, I can do this now. I can roll out of bed and do this and this and this, and it doesn't hurt. Or at least it hurts a lot less than it once did, because like after surgery, if you ever had a surgery on your abdomen, you know how tough it is to get out of bed, in the few days following the surgery. It's a whole process to try to just be able to sit up. And so he told me 6 weeks of no physical activity, and I had a follow-up just under 3 weeks. I think it was like, instead of 21 days, it was like 18 or 19 days post-surgery. I followed up, drove myself there, walked in, perfectly healthy, upright. Everything was really good. I was down a lot of weight, like I said, down 11 pounds. Maybe I recovered a couple just from eating, but I was still down a lot of muscle mass, and I walked in there, had my meeting, and he thought I was doing great. He says, "You're recovering basically how we would like to see a patient recover." And he says, "I see no issue with you starting exercising now, just be safe." And he wasn't overly cautious with me going back to the gym either. He just assumed that if I'm a regular gym goer, I know my limits of what I can do. And so while my family and friends and everyone's like, "Oh, Josh, go easy, take it easy on physical exercise," like the doctor wasn't like that at all. He's just like, "I see no reason you starting back at it, just be careful." Or, I don't even know if he said be careful. He was just really confident in how far I've come in 3 weeks and kind of let me do what I want. So I went to the gym the next morning and started on things. And then I would say by a week after that, 2 weeks after that, I was pretty much back to normal, my normal routine. And sitting here like 8 weeks post-surgery, 9 weeks post-surgery, my strength isn't back yet. My overall body weight is back, but my strength is still down like 20%, 30%. So if you guys have adhesions, I wouldn't really worry that much, but if you're looking towards surgery, I still wouldn't worry that much. It's really not that big of a deal. Seems scary if you have like a bad history of surgeries like I do, of bad luck, but it's not that bad. You feel great afterwards. It's just a little bit of recovery. You're going to feel weak. You're going to lose some weight. I had 28 staples they gave me. They didn't really hurt coming out. Like there's not a lot of bad things to say about it other than, you know, you lose weight, you're stuck in bed for a while, you're bored. But yeah, that's my story of basically 9 days in the hospital, losing 11 pounds from bowel adhesion surgery, and got back to it with no issues. So I hope if you guys have a similar surgery, you guys recover just as well. Any questions, just let me know. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.